Good evening and welcome to another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, David Guerrero, joined by our forecaster, Ben Iaia. Now, Ben, we're finally seeing the sun. Will this last into this weekend?
Unfortunately, the sun will not last for very long. Friday and Saturday, we are looking at chance for some rain. I think it will be pretty widespread, although on the light side, so it should not be a total washout.
Well, I'll still have my umbrella ready to go, and when I'm not dancing on the street with my umbrella, I will be watching Penn State as they hopefully beat Ohio State this coming Friday, or Saturday, sorry.
That is absolutely correct, David. And we are going to Columbus, Ohio for that football game, and there is a chance for some rain over there as well, so it's a tale of one city instead of a tale of two cities.
Ben, I love that description. And coming up next on this show, we'll first have a feature by Madison Olms talking about fall allergies. Then Ben here will have your short-range forecast. Then we'll end the show with an extended forecast as Ben will take us through the next 7 days. But first, here is Nature in the News.
On Friday, October 13th, SpaceX launched the spacecraft to a mysterious and rare asteroid named 16 Psyche, or Psyche for short. What makes this asteroid so unique, though? Psyche is thought to be almost completely made from nickel and iron, the same elements that make up the cores of the terrestrial planets, such as the Earth's. This differs from nearby asteroid belt objects, which are mostly composed of rock and/or water ice. The purpose of this mission is to further understand planet formation, as scientists believe that Psyche is the remnant of a protoplanetary core, completely exposed to space, likely due to a massive collision from when the solar system was just forming. While the mission was only getting started, and the spacecraft will need to travel for about 6 years, the knowledge we can gain from this mission is very exciting. Space is truly mysterious, and Psyche could be one step closer to understanding planetary formation.
Multiple tornadoes struck the Sunshine State on both the Atlantic and Gulf coasts overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. These tornadoes caused significant damage and destroyed several structures. Originating from the interaction of a strong low-pressure system and moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, both tornadoes have been classified as EF2, indicating that their maximum wind gusts reach estimated speeds between 111 to 135 miles per hour. As a result, downed power lines, missing walls, and roofs were reported for both tornadoes. The most potent tornado actually began as a waterspout before making landfall in Clearwater, Florida. In total, 32 tornado warnings were issued as 2 supercell thunderstorms swept across the peninsula, leaving around 14,000 residents without power.
The mighty Amazon rainforest, perhaps the most well-known rainforest in the world, which houses about 1/5 of the world's fresh water, is being gripped by a severe and persistent drought. Climate change is likely causing this drought, but the severity of the drought is likely caused by deforestation as well. Excessive heat has also gripped the region and is leading to rivers and lakes drying up. Starting in June, the drought and heat wave dried once large raging rivers into no more than a narrow stream, which has cut off Brazilian towns and indigenous tribes from the rest of the world. The excessive heat has also led to the remaining water to heat up, which is killing off wildlife and leading to toxic algae blooms. The endangered pink river dolphin, which calls the Amazon River Basin home, has been dying off in droves, and other aquatic animals have also experienced a drop in population due to the higher river water temperature and algae blooms. There is a chance that the Amazon could recover from the extreme drought, as October and November are the beginnings of the wet season, although there are fears that the rainy season will not lead to the relief that the region needs, leading to a worsening of the situation in northern Brazil.
Last week, a sudden and widespread disruption in television signal left residents across Britain grappling with screen blackouts. The issue emerged as a result of high pressure that was present over the United Kingdom, which brought about atmospheric conditions conducive to signal interference. High pressure creates temperature inversions in the troposphere. This phenomenon occurs when there's a layer of air in the troposphere that maintains a higher temperature than the layer beneath it. In such conditions, certain radio signals emitted from a transmitter reflect back towards the Earth's surface, and sometimes they may even rebound upward. As a result, radio signals behave erratically and often propagate farther than intended. This in turn disrupts the regular transmission of television signals. While these disruptions may be infrequent, it's a testament to the impact that weather can have on our technology-driven lives.
After a pleasant stretch of fall-like feels, how long will that continue? It'll continue until Friday. Widespread rain will be impacting Commonwealth on Friday throughout the afternoon and into the evening. This is an occluded front. It's nothing dangerous. I know it looks a little scary. It looks a little different. This just shows that this low-pressure system over the Great Lakes is in its fully mature state, which just indicates that the storm will be a little bit bigger than an average low-pressure system with only a cold front and a warm front. For Saturday, this low-pressure system begins to push off to our north and east, with that trailing cold front passing through the state on our Saturday. So as soon as that cold front really pushes through in the afternoon and evening for most of the state, the rain chances will go down significantly. And that's shown on our Sunday map, with peaks of sun appearing along the I-95 corridor and into the Lehigh Valley especially. State College, I think, will be mostly cloudy, although it can't rule out some peaks of sun in the area. And then the Northwest Plateau and Erie shoreline will actually be looking at some lake effect rain showers as a result of this low pressure system's flow over the lakes. And this low pressure system will become quite potent as we push into Sunday. But on Friday, expect the rain to start in the early afternoon with a high of 62 degrees, and that rain will continue into Friday night with a low of 48 degrees. If you're going to the Penn State-Ohio State football game in Columbus, Ohio, this is the forecast for you. I think our best chance of rain will be during the tailgates, though I can't rule out the chances of some showers for kickoff and in the fourth quarter. Look at that, temperature of 49 degrees for our tailgates in the early morning hours. Although for kickoff, we will warm up considerably to about 55 degrees and reach our high temperature of 57 degrees at our fourth quarter to end the game, hopefully with the Penn State victory. For the rest of our weekend here in State College, Sunday will be the pick of the weekend with only a high of 51 degrees, but we will dry out with some peaks of sun possible. Our fall foliage map shows that we are actually past peak here in Elk and Cameron counties, indicated by this brown color. We're starting to fade across the northern tier of the state, along with the Laurel Highlands, and best colors showing up across the Lehigh Valley, along with the southern part of the Central Mountains, into Huntington and Mifflin counties, and into the Pittsburgh metro area. And then we are actually approaching best color in the Philadelphia metro area in southeast PA. Madison Olms is up next with a feature on fall allergies.
Seasonal allergies aren't just for the spring. 50 million Americans with ragweed pollen allergies could be affected as we continue through this fall season due to the record-breaking heat we had this summer.
Ragweed pollen tends to peak in September and last through October, but with warmer fall temperatures, the ragweed growing season has been elongated. Ragweed is the main cause of allergies in most U.S. states. One plant can produce up to 1 billion pollen grains. Longer nights help the plants to mature and release pollen. The pollen is then carried by breezes and cause a range of symptoms such as sneezing or itchy eyes. The ragweed plant usually grows in rural areas, but is found in suburban areas as well. Studies have shown that the urban heat island effect can actually help ragweed to grow faster and release more pollen. On top of the urban heat island effect, our climate is also warming. A warmer climate calls for an increased amount of carbon dioxide gas in the air. This stimulates the ragweed plant to produce more pollen. Because of the heat, not only are there longer pollen release periods, but there's an increased pollen production as well. Since 1970, 164 out of 201 cities analyzed have experienced a longer freeze-free fall. That is, the number of fall days until the first frost with temperatures above 32 degrees Fahrenheit. The freeze-free season, on average, has lengthened by 11 days. Of the 164 cities, 32% of them have had a freeze-free period that is lengthened by 2 weeks. Ragweed pollen season has increased predominantly in regions of higher latitudes. Some cities that have seen the most increase are Reno, Nevada, and Bend, Oregon, where they have seen an increase of 39 and 33 freeze-free fall days, respectively. Not only has there been a longer freeze-free fall, but a longer total annual freeze-free season. Since 1970, the number of annual freeze-free days has increased by 15 days on average. Longer annual growing seasons are due to earlier spring warm-up and later fall cool-down, meaning that the last spring frost happens earlier in the year and the first fall frost happens later in the year. In North America, there are 3 main pollen allergy seasons. Tree pollen season ranges from February to May and can start as early as December or January. Grass pollen season ranges from April to June, and weed pollen season ranges from July to November. This is when ragweed allergies are most predominant. During this season, 17 types of ragweed grow in North America, and they all belong in a larger family of plants that can spread pollen by wind, some of those plants being sage, burrweed marsh elder, and rabbit brush. On top of ragweed pollen being a common airborne allergen in the fall, mold is another allergen to be aware of. Different kinds of molds can release tiny spores, but the peak is usually around the fall season, similar to ragweed pollen counts. Molds can grow on decaying plant matter, so this can be closely linked to the plant decay that occurs during the fall. As the season progresses, pollen counts will continue to increase so long as there continue to be warm, freeze-free days. If you have an allergy to ragweed pollen, you may be sneezing through the rest of the season until the first frost. For Whether or Not, I'm Madison Olms.
And now it's time for our extended forecast. Starting out with our weekend recap, our rain returns on Friday afternoon with a high of 62, and the rain will continue into the overnight hours with a low of 48. And that rain will just push on into our Saturday, specifically in the morning here in State College with a high of 55, and we will begin to dry out a little bit with a low of 43. And Sunday will be the pick of the weekend with a high of 51 and a low of 36. Our extended forecast really shows that our temperatures crash down into the upper 50s for our Monday, although we will begin to climb up into more seasonable territory. In fact, a little bit above average for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all in the mid-60s with mostly sunny skies with the pleasant weather returning.
You know, Ben, I'm loving the return of the pleasant weather, but I'm a little sad that we did not see the solar eclipse that occurred on Saturday. And our question for this week, we'll talk about the next time we'll be able to see the total solar eclipse. In what month will the next total solar eclipse occur? Is it A, February, B, March, C, April, or D, May? And if you guessed C, April, you are indeed correct. Like I said, like I mentioned, it was overcast. It was a little rainy throughout, so it was a little unfortunate we could not see it, but hopefully it'll be clear during April.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, David. I'm also very disappointed that there was no visibility here in Pennsylvania, really across the entire state for that annular solar eclipse last week. But here's to hoping that 2024 will be slightly better.
Absolutely agree with you there, Ben. And thank you for watching. Join us next week for another episode of Whether or Not. Thank you, and have a beautiful night.